Hello again and welcome back to the Analyst hat-trick, where it has been the perfect 10 for us so far this season. Well, in the fact that we have 10 episodes now in the can. And more importantly actually, some of us have already reached the 10 correct prediction mark within the Premier League season this campaign. I'm talking to you here in the Optiralis community, and more importantly, you are also tied with our super computer as well. So great predicting so far. And I'm not one to brag, I'm never one to brag, but I've also managed to get to the 10 correct prediction marks. But there are two analyst contributors who are actually outperforming us, and they are brilliant. Matt going 2 for 3 last weekend as Andy drew a blank to move into a lead at the summit. John also having a good week at the bottom, pulling his deficit on Ollie and Kevin back too. So plenty to keep your eyes on across the table. But one group of fans who were covering their eyes last weekend were the Manchester United faithful. Now, we're not going to go into a breakdown of everything that occurred last weekend. We've already done that fairly in-depth on theanalyst.com, and I really do recommend you check out all the great articles that we have put out this week at the home of data-driven storytelling. But this weekend's game might actually be the perfect time for United, and also might be the perfect time for someone to salvage their job. You see, their opponents this weekend, Spurs, well, they have actually lost more times to Manchester United than any other team in the Premier League. It's 36 defeats at the hand of Manchester United. And with just one of the last 6 league games between the two sides being won by the home side, surely our win probability model is predicting a United victory this weekend. Well, no. In fact, it's backing Tottenham to be victorious in this one, although the margins between the two sides are very, very tight. And it's not as if recent form away from home should count against United. Okay, their record 29-game unbeaten run in the league was ended in their last match on the road against Leicester, but maybe a defeat here wouldn't be the worst thing, as the last time they lost 2 on the bounce in this competition, they would go on that unbeaten run. A United victory, though, might spell bad news for Nuno Espirito Santo, though. You see, so far he has lost 4 of his first 9 Premier League games in charge of Spurs, although granted, he has won 5 of them, and there has only been one other manager to lose more than 4 in his first 10 games in charge of the club in the Premier League. And he had his tube ticket ready. That was Christian Gross, all the way back in the 1997-1998 season. So maybe Nuno's going to have to get his Oyster card ready and wave it out. Doesn't really work as much, does it, compared to the old ticket, does it? Bring back the 90s. Well, according to you in our Opta Analyst community, it will be a day of celebration for Solskjaer and United, with you backing them to be victorious. One thing they will have to bear in mind, though, they have already conceded 10 Premier League goals this month, more than any other side. And only twice before have they conceded more than 10 in a calendar month, shipping 11 in October of 1996, and the same again in December of 2018. So okay then, who are we going to have to look out for as the key players in this match on Sunday? Now, I haven't spoken much about this guy recently, but that's because having netted 3 goals in his first 2 Premier League appearances for Manchester United this season, Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't scored in any of his last 4 league games. It's his worst run since he was at Real Madrid, and that came in November of 2017. Now, for the last time that he's gone 5 in a row without a goal, well, it was actually a run of 9 for the Red Devils between November of 2008 and January of 2009. But one man who hasn't got the away day blues is Mason Greenwood, and he could become the youngest ever player to score 10 away Premier League goals since Wayne Rooney in November of 2004 if he finds the back of the net in this one. And don't count out Son Heung-min either. He had a hand in 4 goals in 2 games against United last season, with 3 goals and an assist. And this is having failed to register a single goal involvement in 8 previous matches against the Red Devils. Now, taking all of that into account, it has thrown up a wide range of predictions from us in the Analyst team, and perhaps surprisingly, I'm going to be backing a Spurs victory in this one. Yes, I'm completely dismissing pretty much everything I'm said, and I'm sure the dreaded words have been shared on the training ground, but there's just something I fancy about a Tottenham victory to really upset the apple cart here. Right, straight into game 2 then, and it's another Saturday clash to feast upon, but perhaps not the game that you would have been expecting. All will become clear very, very soon, but first of all, I've got to be the bearer of bad news to Burnley fans. You see, I'm talking to you here, Rocky. It's the 4th time in their history, in the top flight, that Burnley have failed to win any of their opening 9 games to the season. And the really bad news is that on the previous 3 occasions, yep, that's right, they have gone on to not win that 10th game as well. And as a result of this, they've also gone on to finish in the bottom 2 in the table. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. But it's not that our win probability model seems to care. It is close between these 3 outcomes, but our supercomputer is backing Burnley against Brentford this weekend and expecting to see that run of history broken. And why not? They have opened the scoring in 5 different Premier League games this season, but have yet to win any of them, drawing 3 and losing 2, making them the side to have dropped more points from a winning position than any other team this term, with 12. For Brentford though, it has been an unbelievable start to life in the Premier League, unbeaten in their first 4 matches away from home. Hull City were the last team to go unbeaten in their first 5 away league matches in the Premier League. That came back in 2008. And if they are victorious in this game, Brentford, then they will have matched Blackpool's feat of being able to win 3 of their opening 5 away league matches to start a season, the Tangerines doing that back in 2010. And this is something you believe will happen in the Opta Analyst community, with the majority of you backing the Bees to be buzzing in this one. And why not? Burnley haven't won any of their last 5 home games against promoted sides, drawing 3 and losing 2. Now, it's not that often that we get tactical here on the Analyst Hat Trick, is it? But I feel that we need to for this one, because it might explain some of Burnley's woes this season. You see, they have allowed more touches in their own penalty box than any other side so far this season, at 286 touches. And of the 4 games in which a team have been able to record 50 or more touches in the opponent's box, Burnley have accounted for 3 of those 4 games, the feat belonging to Liverpool, Leicester and Manchester City. And it is that alone that makes me believe that Brentford will be victorious in this game. Not that I've got anything against Burnley, I've got friends who are Burnley fans, but this feels like one of those magical seasons where a newly promoted side pulls right away from the drop and gets to try and build a new life in the top flight. The rest of my colleagues though, well, they aren't so sure, with Duncan and Matt both believing it will be Sean Dyche's day. Thanks to a wealth of European football, we've got a lot of football coming your way on Saturday, all beginning at lunchtime, where Arsenal will be hoping the early rise doesn't affect them this time around. They have won just 1 of their last 12 Premier League matches on a Saturday that have kicked off before 1 PM, losing 6 of them. Our win probability model though doesn't see them celebrating this time around, backing Leicester to be victorious, along with Watford, Chelsea, Manchester City and Liverpool, where there's a word of warning for Brighton and Hove Albion. The Reds have won 5-0 in their last 2 Premier League games and could come the 4th side to win 3 top-flight games in a row by 5 goals or more. Just going to pause here to give you a little bit of think about what those answers might be. Okay, from recent history, Manchester City did it in 2017. You've got to go a little bit further back to Chelsea in 2010. And then big, bonus points. Give that man a coconut if you got this one right. Aston Villa achieved the feat all the way back in 1899. We end this week's show in Birmingham, home of gladiators, you might say, but it's actually Aston Villa who will be looking to put an end to a rather unwanted run of form against West Ham United, having failed to win in any of their previous 6 games against them, drawing 3 and losing 3. In fact, Villa fans have to go all the way back to May of 2015 for the last time that they were able to do so. Perhaps unsurprisingly, this is super tight on our win probability model again, but it is the hosts who have been made the slightest of favourites in this one. This is despite the fact the Villains have lost all 3 of their Premier League games this month, although the last time they played as many as 4 league games in a month and lost every single one of them was back in April 2016, and that was actually a part of a run of 5 defeats. Right then, enough about Aston Villa. We need to talk about David Moyes here because he has so far guided West Ham to 17 points from 9 games in the campaign, which is their best start to a season since Slaven Bilic was at the helm back in 2015. And it's not just the fact that they are putting points on the board, it is the fact they are winning games. They've won 5 so far, and the Hammers have only won 6 of their opening 10 games to a top flight season 5 times in their history, and it has only happened once in the Premier League. And you know it happened in the season that I just spoke about, you know, that year with Bilic. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And unsurprisingly, considering that run of form, you in the Opta Analyst community have gone all in on a West Ham United victory here. It's a much more decisive margin of success than that of our win probability model, and maybe you need to bear this in mind, because after a 12-game winless run against Aston Villa in the Premier League between 2006 and 2012, David Moyes has now won 5 of his last 7 against them, and he even managed to draw the other 2. So we got 2 strikers heading into this game with 2 rather contrasting storylines to look out for. Danny Ings will be hoping to finally find the back of the net against West Ham. It's 9 games without a goal so far, the most he's faced a team without scoring a goal. And indeed, he has never even tasted victory, being on the losing side in 8 of his 9 top-flight appearances against the Hammers, drawing the other one. Meanwhile, it's a return of one of the analyst's favourite phrases. Now, only Mo Salah has been directly involved in more Premier League goals than Mikel Antonio's 6 goals and 3 assists this season. In fact, since Moyes took charge of the club, he has registered 25 goals and 10 assists, which is 14 more goal involvements than any other Hammers player. Well, bad news for Danny Ings from us analyst contributors. Not one of us is backing Aston Villa to be victorious, and only 3 of us are actually brave enough to even consider the chance they might sneak a draw. As ever on the Analyst Hat-Trick, no game goes without our win predictor model. Probably no surprises that Leeds are heavy favourites to be victorious against Norwich, whilst it's a heck of a lot tighter in the Monday night game. At the moment, our supercomputer is favouring Wolves to be victorious, although how much of that is a hangover against Everton following that Watford thrashing last time out. Anyway, that's it once again here on the Analyst Hat-Trick. Thank you very much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to head over to theanalyst.com as well for a wealth of great articles, podcasts and other videos as well. That's all for you at the home of data-driven storytelling. But for now, I've been Graham Bell, and until next week, goodbye.